Yeah, guys, good morning. We do start with some breaking news out of the UAE, where officials say that a drone attack against a nuclear power plant caused a fire at a generator on the outskirts of the facility. This is a significant attack and likely conducted by the Iranian regime. It comes as tension continues to rise across the Middle East as the region waits to see if the war will resume in the days ahead. So far, efforts toward a diplomatic solution with Iran have been unsuccessful, with officials in Tehran unwilling to make the necessary concessions to reach a deal. President Trump spoke on his return flight from China, indicating he didn't like the first sentence of the Iranian response to the U.S. peace proposal.
I looked at it, and if I don't like the first sentence, I just throw it away.
What was the first sentence?
An unacceptable sentence. Because they fully agreed, no nuclear, and if they have any nuclear of any form, I don't read the rest of
it. So 20 years is not enough for you. It's got to be a permanent.
No, 20 years is enough, but the level of guarantee from them is not enough. In other words, it's got to be a real 20 years.
And on Saturday, the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group returned to the United States after a deployment that was the longest for the U.S. since the Vietnam War. Now, Secretary of State Pete Hegseth called the work of these sailors phenomenal.
Absolute resolve, epic fury. It's an incredible story, and the only story that should be told today is of the heroism and the skill and the professionalism of these sailors who went 3 times around the globe to defend that flag right there, which can only do what this strike group does.
Overnight, President Trump shared a series of AI images on Truth Social. One shows the president standing at a control center that says Space Force with outgoing missiles on a screen behind him. The other shows him commanding the Navy with the caption, "It was the calm before the storm." All of this comes as the Iranians have accused the United States of changing their negotiating position.
An attack on our nuclear facilities has already taken place once, and they claim they completely destroyed them. Yet now they are once again talking about attacking the facilities. These contradictory statements truly indicate the depth of America's confusion regarding their objectives in this war.
Iranian officials continue to make serious statements about the country's nuclear program. This is a key issue President Trump wants resolved either at the negotiating table or on the battlefield. Guys?
Trey, real quick, of the many things I believe the New York Times broke this week as far as what the administration may do. One of the things was, one, a ground offensive for the nuclear material, but the other one was still this idea of taking Kharg Island. That might become a reality. Could you explain if there's any breadth to that and why?
I've been speaking with regional intelligence officials this morning who indicate that the assessment inside of Iran is President Trump may resume combat operations against the regime. And these officials say that currently the Iranians are conducting a strategy of deception and delay with hopes that buying time would actually make it more difficult if the war does resume. As it relates to Kharg Island, President Trump has a variety of options on the table to put pressure on the Iranian regime. And one of those is the possibility of sending forces to Kharg Island, this critical island that accounts for around 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. You also have a variety of other options for President Trump. And remember, right now, the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports remains in place. Yeah. And Israeli officials tell Fox News that this is an exponential threat for the regime because internally in Iran, you have this situation where the regime is getting weaker and weaker each day. And as the economic situation gets worse for the Iranian leadership in Tehran, they face new domestic internal pressure. And that is part of the broader strategy by the Trump administration to put continuing pressure on the Iranian regime and make it more difficult for them to have support internally for any sort of future conflict, and also their ability to rebuild in the aftermath of Operation Epic Fury.
Certainly feels like a powder keg right now. Thanks, Trey.
Thanks, Trey.
Thanks, Trey.
All right. Yeah, let's absolutely hope that a bigger war doesn't break out. But I just don't think the Iranians have been humbled. And I think that's President Trump's dilemma at this moment.
Well, I think the challenge, too, is the Iranian regime is sort of built to last, even with IRGC commanders spread across the country in these different provinces. And so I know that we've been putting pressure on the Iranian regime, but how close is it to breaking? Particularly when we're sort of dictated by election cycles as well with the midterm election coming up. So
Yeah, I'm glad you said it that way, especially because a lot of people will expect things to happen quickly. They'll want it over with. They want those gas prices to get right back down to where they were before the conflict. But I think you have to get this thing done correctly in the right timing, because ultimately you don't want them to come back and have a nuclear capability, which is something that we're trying to eliminate.
Well, and Charlie made this point yesterday, which I thought was a really great point. That shows that President Trump is trying to do the right thing, because what other president would be doing this with an upcoming midterm election, dictated by politics, and he's doing this because he thinks it's the right thing to do. So just wanted to reiterate that, because he made the point yesterday, and it registered with me. I thought it was a great point.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.